Hi, I'm James Phillips, president of Microsoft's Business Applications Group, and I'm going to talk to you today about the Power Platform. You know, in 2009, I think the App Store first sort of hit the market, and there was a saying, there's an app for that got into the lexicon, and in fact, today you can go find websites where they've got joke after joke, and this is the punchline for every joke. The problem is that it's just not true. There's not always an app for that, and in fact, for the most important applications, I would argue, there isn't an app for that. At SNCF, the French National Rail System, for example, they needed an application that would allow them to take a train chassis and a train car and to match those and to get them assembled and to do it with low risk of failure. It's a problem that they had struggled with for years. Needed an app? There was no app for that. With TruGreen, they wanted an app that would allow them to have their field service technicians take a mobile phone, take a photo of a spot in the lawn or an issue on a plant and to have it diagnosed, and then to connect back to corporate headquarters to order remediating services for the customer. Again, there's not an app for that. Or at Medtronic, a medical device manufacturer, they needed an app that would allow them to take data from their supply chain, from their manufacturing systems, and predict where they may have potential back orders. And they wanted to avoid that. Again, there's not an app for that. And in fact, these are the applications where we should have built apps. We've known about these applications for a long time, and yet we continue to have hundreds or thousands of applications in our backlogs. And these are, again, for the apps that we know we need. It gets worse and potentially more disruptive and challenging when situations change and we need apps in order to be responsive. This year, we've all suffered through this global pandemic with COVID-19. Swedish medical system needed an app to respond where they could track personal protective equipment and the availability of beds in their emergency facilities. Certainly not an app for that. Or Chipotle, where they needed to move from in-dining room service of their customers to curbside delivery. But they needed an app that would connect with their existing order management systems, something they certainly couldn't find in an app store. And so this notion that there's an app for that, while there may be an app for social media or games, for those applications that really make an organization what it is, that represent the brand, that embody your own unique processes, there really isn't an app for that. And it's been difficult to build those applications historically because of complexity. We don't have enough professional developers, data scientists. The tools that we've used historically to build these applications have been sort of long-running, risky projects. And that's why we built the Power Platform. The Microsoft Power Platform was built specifically to allow organizations, without requiring professional developers, without requiring data scientists, those who are closest to the business problem, to actually build the applications in a very high productivity way. And these applications are modern in every sense, starting with data that comes from your existing systems, from systems of observation, whether it's cameras, mobile applications, your web application, feeding into an analytics layer to gain insight that can then be used to take intelligent action, whether through an app that you act through as a user or through automated back-end processes. Of course, all of this creates even more data, which feeds back into the front end of the system. This is what we mean when we speak of applications. And this is exactly what the Power Platform provides. Hundreds of out-of-the-box connectors, a common data service, Power BI, allowing analysis of that data regardless of source, feeding insights into Power Apps and Power Automate that provide for mobile and web application creation and automated back-end process automation in the case of Power Automate. Now, all of this comes in one unified system. The Microsoft Power Platform was built from the ground up to build modern applications leveraging this approach. But it's not an isolated offering. It lives in the context of the broader Microsoft Cloud. Beneath the Power Platform is Microsoft Azure, and above, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and all of it sort of brought together in one digital transformation platform that provides for no-cliffs application development and delivery. And finally, it's wrapped by a consistent framework for security, privacy, regulatory compliance, and management. There's nothing else like it in the industry. You can't get one of these by going off and acquiring Looker and AppSheet and Tableau and MuleSoft and hoping that notwithstanding the disparity across user management systems and connector families, that you've got something that looks like this. Unique in the industry, and that's why we've seen customers across the globe and across industries adopting the Power Platform to deal with this app gap and to get into a position where they can respond to changes in their market or in their environment. In fact, over 500,000 companies each month leverage the Power Platform, 97% of the Fortune 500, to go close this app gap, to connect with data, and to build the applications that move their business forward. For the rest of this session, we're going to focus on Toyota. Toyota is using the Power Platform, connecting with data, analyzing that data, building the applications they need in order to respond to their market pressures. And to start off, I'm going to have Kim Manna show you data and the Power BI platform.
Thanks, James. Toyota Motor North America strives to continuously improve the quality of the vehicles delivered to their customers. In this case, when aftermarket accessories are installed. To better understand how their 1,500 dealers are doing, Toyota field managers sample vehicle deliveries to track progress and identify opportunities for improvement. We'll focus on how TMNA uses Power BI to analyze the data captured in this process. Then you'll hear from Charles on how they act upon that data using Power Apps. Using integrated capabilities of Power BI, Teams, and Excel, TMNA is empowering team members to easily consume and understand the results to drive action, while IT keeps the data secure and governed. This request came directly from the leadership team on the need to have more data-driven analysis on performance. TMNA relies heavily on Microsoft Teams for all their collaboration, and they use Power BI for all their analytics, including making sure end users can do self-service analytics. Here, in our Teams channel, I've asked Miguel, what's the status of our regional surveys? And he sent me a link. I can go ahead and click on this, and you'll see that I land in a Power BI report directly in Teams. I can slice and dice the data and explore without going anywhere else. So on the right here, you'll see our newest AI visual, the Smart Narratives visual. This lets you add an element of storytelling to your reports. And you can see here, through natural language, it's describing what's going on in these visuals. And so on the top, you see vehicles inspected are trending up 10%. So we want to learn, why is that happening? So we can go ahead and slice and dice. So I'll look at District 1. Here you see vehicle inspections are actually trending down. Now we can try District 6. And here, yep, it's up 130%. So District 6 is doing something right. I can go ahead and share this back with my team, and they'll get access to this report with the context that I was looking at. But even more than that, if I close out this report, I have a central portal for all my data in Microsoft Teams. I can access my favorites and frequents, apps that have been shared with me, and content that has been featured by IT. This is an awesome way for organizations to build a data culture and make sure all their collaboration is infused with data. And IT can feel confident that folks are using trusted sources and that data is making their way into every decision they make. But if I want to explore this data further, I can jump into Microsoft Excel. Here, I can create a pivot table directly from Power BI datasets. You'll see I have access to all the certified, promoted, and shared data sets that folks have shared with me. If I go ahead and search, I can find that same data set that we were using earlier, and I can explore it even deeper in Excel. So here I've made a new table where I'm looking at those same districts, and I can start to get new insights. This is a great way for end users to continue using the tools they know and love, and IT can feel confident about the security, knowing that row-level security is applied and Microsoft information protection labels pass through to these Excel sheets. TMNA doesn't just use data from the Power Platform. They pull in big data from a number of sources. One way to do this is to use Azure Synapse Analytics. Azure Synapse is a limitless analytics portal that enables data engineers to ingest, explore, analyze, and visualize their data. So they can go do things like write SQL scripts here, they can manage their data warehouse, but they can also work directly with their Power BI datasets, creating new reports or linking existing reports that their end users are seeing. Now, if I make a change to the underlying data, I can go ahead and validate that this data is making sense on the report that end users are seeing. Today, we're announcing the Synapse Performance Accelerator for Power BI. This new capability, once enabled, tracks common queries across the organization and catches them to make sure the data is always up to date and blazing fast. You just saw how Power BI and Microsoft Office have come together to make it easier than ever for an organization to foster a data culture while giving IT the confidence that everything is governed and secure. Then we talked about how Azure Synapse and Power BI enable organizations to achieve no-cliffs extensibility to meet both the analyst and the data professional needs. Now I'll hand it back to James.
Thanks very much, Kim. And, this was a perfect example of how the entirety of the Microsoft Cloud came together, rallied around the Power Platform in order to allow connection to data and deep analysis, whether in Excel, in Microsoft Teams, reaching down into Azure with Synapse, an incredible sort of display of the power of the total platform as expressed through the Power Platform, specifically the data and analysis layers. Now we're going to move to Charles Lamanna, who will share with us how Power Apps, Power Automate can combine in Microsoft Teams to take that analysis that Kim just showed us and to turn it into intelligent action for Toyota.
Thank you, James. Today, Toyota Motors North America has over 450 quality check engineers that go out to the field and confirm that aftermarket accessories are installed correctly on cars before they're delivered to vehicles. However, they use a legacy web application, which you can see right here, which is only accessible on their corporate network and on PCs, and is not very efficient. As a result, less than 10% of all the car deliveries get the inspection that they want to improve the customer's experience. To change that, Toyota turned to Power Apps. So if you look over here on the Power Apps mobile application that Toyota built, it uses all kinds of great device capabilities to quickly look up all the relevant deliveries to me as a field worker. I can say click through in one of these ones, which will also pull up all the details about what the car looks like and what accessories were requested right on my mobile device, no matter where I am. And in this case, I can see a frameless home link was supposed to be installed, as well as alloy wheel locks for this particular car. And that process of running the quality check is now fully digitized and actually intelligent. So when I say click alloy wheel locks, it will ask me to upload a photo, and I can just take that from my phone. And what this will do is it will go use Azure AI and computer vision to determine that with 96% certainty, the alloy wheel locks are actually installed. So now all of the field workers can have 100% coverage for over 1,500 dealerships to ensure that all of the aftermarket accessories are installed correctly. And the way that Toyota was able to build this application was with Power Apps. Inside the Power Apps Studio, which is available inside the browser, they were able to create this rich mobile application in less than 1 week. And this mobile app, you can see all the same screens that we were just showing on my phone. And we can also see that it's joined against all kinds of data sources here on the left-hand side, with the most important one being the Common Data Service. This is where they store all the information about vehicle delivery requests, the vehicles themselves, and also their catalog for their aftermarket car modifications. And all of this information not only powers this mobile app, but also starts to unlock innovation across their entire company. And that's where the brand new Power Apps and Teams integration is so exciting for Toyota. They can now have all of their employees start to build Power Apps inside of Teams that leverage the same enterprise data to really build great transformational experiences. And if I look here, it's that same Power Apps Studio that I was just showing in the browser is now available inside of Microsoft Teams. And I've also gone and created a table already in the Common Data Service to track feedback about those aftermarket accessory installations. And this could be done by, say, someone in the customer support org to track whether or not it's successful. And I can record the feedback text. I can also go look at the accessory items themselves. And these will be a lookup using that same table that the mobile app uses for the accessory catalog. I can just have the score, which say is a value between 0 and 10, and mark whether or not it's installed correctly. So it has advanced types and references all the other great enterprise data. So to show how easy it is to create a few rows, it's just like Excel. And I'll say installation was great. And for the accessory item, I will use the alloy wheel locks, give it a score of 10 out of 10, and say it was installed correctly. Then maybe I'll say the installation was bad. And maybe this was a frameless home link mirror, give that a score out of 0, and it was not installed correctly. And maybe I'll say for the last one, installation was okay. And just to really hit this point about the accessory items, this drop down is the same one that they see on the mobile app, one catalog for all the accessories across all of Toyota. In my case, I'll do body side moldings. Give it a score of 7, say it was installed correctly. And just like that, I have a few example records stored in the Common Data Service and accessible to me inside of Power Apps, inside of Teams. Now I can start to drag on things like a vertical gallery, which is a list of items, and bind it to that table that I just created. I'll choose accessory feedbacks. You can see all those records update right there. And I can also do things like an edit form, which allows me to create new feedback requests or edit ones that are already filed. I can bind this to the same accessory feedbacks data source that I just created. And then I can go start to choose the different fields that I want. And in my case, I'll say the accessory item, I'll say whether or not it's installed correctly, and I'll also record the score. Click Add. And all of these will be bound to that field automatically to that same table inside the common data service. And what's really exciting is that, again, all that rich type information about lookups and yes, no, that flows through inside of this Power App. You can see it in the same drop down here. I can see whether or not it's installed correctly or not. Very easy, very fast app creation on top of the common data service inside of Teams. And maybe I'll bind this form back over to the gallery. So when I go select different items, you can see how it refreshes over here in real time, all wired up, again, automatically. And, Power Apps isn't just about binding data. It also has a great visual experience. So maybe I want to go add a quick header to the top of this. I'm going to go choose the Toyota red. And maybe I'll add a plus button up in the upper right-hand corner. And just like that, you're able to go build a new Power Apps and create new enterprise data inside of Teams without having to depend on the other departments and just using their data to build things faster. And one of the things that Toyota also had to work through as part of rolling out all these different solutions was how do they support the dealerships or field workers that still were using that legacy web application? And that's when they turned to Power Automate. So with robotic process automation, they're able to copy every single record in that mobile Power App over to that legacy web app. And they do that inside the Power Automate Visual Designer. We can see right here, whenever a new record is created inside that vehicle delivery request, it's going to go trigger this workflow. And when it does, it's going to go trigger a UI flow. And this UI flow was built with the brand new Power Automate desktop capability. This is something we just announced at Ignite. It builds on top of Softomotive's Win automation technology, has almost 1,000 different UI automation steps and options, all available inside this rich experience. It supports a recorder. You can see here I recorded some steps on that legacy Toyota app earlier, and it's incredibly enterprise ready, but still being low code for all your employees to automate their different tasks. And if I just click run here, this will actually launch that legacy web application, and you'll see it start to enter all the different information from the Power App in real time on my device without me having to interact with the keyboard at all. And this is how they can quickly modernize their business process without having to change everything. And that's what's really special about Power Platform. Without coders, without developers, and doing it in place with your existing IT landscape, you can change everything with the Power Platform, from Power Apps to Teams to Power Automate. But it doesn't just stop there. It also extends to what professional developers can do. And to go deeper on that, I'm going to turn it back over to James.
Thanks very much, Charles. So once again, a great demonstration of how sort of all the pieces of the Microsoft Cloud and Power Platform come together to solve problems. We saw Kim earlier create insights that now Charles has taken with Power Apps, Power Automate, and with Microsoft Teams and turned into intelligent action. Now, the Power Platform is not just for citizen developers. It's a low-code, no-code, high-productivity platform that allows both citizen developers and professional developers to work together. And in this next section, we're going to have Julie Strauss demonstrate how the power of Azure API management, Azure Functions, and the entirety of the Azure platform can be used to create building blocks that can then be leveraged inside of Power Apps in furtherance of building applications that really take the best from all parts of your organization. Take it away, Julie.
Thank you, James. Looking at the app we just saw Charles build using no code, we're now going to go behind the scenes and show how the team of pro developers at Toyota were able to use Azure to create building blocks to further enhance that exact same application, really creating a good way to collaborate on building sophisticated apps. First, let's take a look at image recognition. It was actually very simple for the Toyota developers to add AI to the application without having an extensive set of knowledge to machine learning. Using cognitive services as well as custom vision, they were able to generate object detection models in a very short amount of time. So now I'm here in the custom vision portal. All I've done is I've updated the images and I've trained my model. And now I want to go do a very quick test to just see the accuracy of the model. And I'm uploading my image. And you can see here I have a threshold to very easily adjust the level of accuracy that I want. And that was actually key for Toyota to choosing Azure, that precision in the machine learning. When I'm pleased with my model, all I need to go do is to go and take the prediction URL, and I can pass that up into Power Apps. As you can see, we actually have a connector available for custom vision out of the box with the Power Platform. So all I need to do is go in and pass that prediction key and the site URL into the application, and we are good to go. So now with the mobile device, the field rep can very easily take a picture of the installation, and they can with very, very high accuracy determine whether the dealership installed the exact accessory that was ordered by the customer. So this is a very powerful example of how we take something complex as AI and infuse it into the application for the citizen developer to continue to develop that application. Next, we're going to build a custom API. Why? Well, to help reduce the amount of time that the Toyota dealership spent looking up the accessories associated with each vehicle coming out from the factory, they wanted to actually just look up, based on a VIN number, all the accessories directly in the application. Now, Microsoft doesn't offer an out-of-the-box connector to the Toyota logistics system, and the system doesn't have an API either. But with a team of pro developers, it was actually super easy for them to go and create this custom API. It's a very simple API. It has a GET request, looking up the VIN number and the model. And then we are looking up all the accessories associated with that vehicle. All I need to do now is publish this API into Azure, and I'm publishing this as an Azure function. Now, behind the scenes, as I'm publishing the API as an Azure function, I will actually go ahead and register that with API management as well. Now, the reason I want to do that is that with API management, I have a single location where I can manage not just this API, but all of the APIs that my pro developer team is building. So I can go in here, and obviously I can assign policies, and I can very quickly test the API as well. So let me pass in, for example, the VIN number and the model. You can see very quickly the results that come back, and you can see all the details. It's a Toyota Highlander SUV from 2020 and all the accessories. Exactly what I want to show in the application. Now, another benefit of registering your API with API management is the deep integration we have into the Power Platform. So directly from here, I can publish the API into the very specific environment of Power Platform. I can navigate back into Power Apps. And normally you would have to go, if you ever tried this, to create a custom connector and kind of build that custom connector from this experience and then make it available to your citizen developers. But with the announcement we are making today, actually the second you publish an API from API management, it becomes available inside Power App as an APIM connector. All friction and manual steps have been removed. It's very powerful. So now what I need to go do is go to my area of the application where I have the bar scanner and simply associate it with the API, looking up the data in the Toyota logistics system. So this is a very powerful way where we are enabling the pro developer to build sophisticated Lego blocks or building blocks in Azure and effortlessly push them to make them available for the citizen developer without any additional work. With that, back to you, James.
Thank you so much, Julie. What a great look. If you look at the power of Azure and the Power Platform as they come together, the ability to take professional developers, citizen developers, take the best of both worlds and to marry their strengths into a unified team, something that you don't see from any other platform in the industry. I'm super excited that we're now making available through Teams and the built-in Power Apps capability, free access to applications or to services that are exposed through Azure API management. This holistic approach to application development through a unified cloud is unique to Microsoft and we believe offers you the only platform for digital transformation in the industry. If you want to learn more, go to the URL on your screen and you'll find all the information about Release Wave 2 2020, where all of the new capabilities that will ship between October and April of this year are made available. And join me in a couple of weeks where we'll talk in depth about this release wave, and we'll go through demos of all the capabilities and features. Thank you so much for joining this morning. I hope to see you at our virtual launch event, and have a great rest of Ignite.